Sorry guys, we're having some technical difficulties right now with the software. So let's hope it doesn't do that again. Are we still live? Hold on a second, guys. We're trying to get it worked out. There's some technical difficulties. We don't know what it's to do with. It's hot and sticky here. Who knows? Our internet can be funky when the heat like this. Oh, we're good. Thank God. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We were having technical difficulties. You know, these things happen. So it's hot and steamy here. So I have fans all on me. I'm sorry. I'll try not to look too glistening. Tonight's meal is mock chicken Tetrazzini. You can also make it with real chicken, and I will tell you as I'm doing it how to do that. Also, next week is grilled steak kebabs, pineapple rice, and grilled rum pineapple. So don't forget to tune in for that. It's a tasty meal, kind of Polynesian. So we're looking forward to that. Also, guys, I want to thank everyone that's joined me and subscribed to my YouTube channel. Please keep subscribing and following. That really helps my business along. So, also let's get started. So over here, I don't know what I did. The fan blew out my thing. Great. Okay, we're going to be heating up the oil over here, and we're going to be deep frying the mock chicken. Okay, guys, this is the mock chicken. I make it myself from scratch. I did put the recipe is up on shorts if you want to see how to do it, but you can also use diced chicken, and you would want to saute it in your pan and remove it from your pan before we move on to the next step. I'm going to deep fry this in a skillet because my deep fryer decided to depart from me a few days ago. So I have been searching and trying to decide which one I want to replace it with. So I am having to do this in a skillet instead of my deep fryer, which is a lot quicker. So let's see if we can get the heat this going over here. Now, while that oil is heating up, I like to put a small piece of something in the oil when I'm heating it up on the stove. That gives me a chance to be able to tell if it's hot or not and not just throw stuff into cold oil. It's not like having the other thing. Okay, so you need a heavy bottom kettle. I'm using my Dutch oven. If you're doing chicken, you're going to cook your chicken in your Dutch oven first, and then you're going to remove it. After you remove it, the next step is going to put olive oil, butter in the bottom of your Dutch oven, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, and you're going to heat it up over medium heat. Because this is a Dutch oven, it's going to take a while because it is cast iron. So you want to make sure it's nice and warm before you start anything. Because if you don't, then it kind of bogs it down when you start throwing things in it. So I recommend making sure your butter is fully melted. And since it is kind of steamy in here, we do not have AC in our house because it is an old house. And I don't want to let them tear up my house, put vents and ducts in. So we just it's a good weight loss program, guys. Really good. So our oil is heating. Also, we have water going for our pasta that we're going to put into our linguini that we're going to put in. And I also have water going because we're going to blanch our green beans before we put them in with our pine nuts and garlic that we're sauteing. So this is a really easy, quick meal at home, especially if you remember to turn on the burner. Okay, all my burners are on. Okay, so my oil's getting hot over here. My other oil is just taking its sweet time, but that's okay. We can get this going. So we're going to want to melt our 2 tablespoons of butter, our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. To this, first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 4 cloves of garlic. I like to use garlic press, keeps garlic off my hands. I really like that. I don't like garlic smell. Nothing, I guess it makes you hungry in the middle of the night when you smell your hands. So I guess there's that. I don't know that garlic has any benefit for your skin. There may be somebody out there that says there is. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to get this added in here. This is a delicious recipe. It's nice and light. It's a little lighter than the traditional tetrazzini. And I've just kind of done a few things. I've changed the recipe quite a bit. Well, let's be honest. I probably mixed several recipes together to come up with this one. Okay, so we're going to let it get sauteing in here a little bit. When you can smell the garlic, then it's time to put in your sliced mushrooms, which you're going to use 16 ounces of sliced mushrooms, which is, I don't know how many cups that is. I just buy the ounces, and then I can buy them sliced or you can buy them not. Now, the mushrooms have got to cook until the juice, they've released their juice and all the juice is gone. So this is going to take a little bit. So that's why I've got it going already. It finishes off way faster. This is the longest portion of the recipe right here, is getting those mushrooms cooked. They have a mind of their own. Okay, our oil, I don't know if you can see or not, our oil is sizzling. So it's time to put it in. When you do not have a fry basket, use tongs. Don't be putting your hands over oil. Hot oil will burn you severely. Nobody wants a trip to the hospital. Just make sure they're kind of spread out there. Don't want to crowd it. And brilliant me forgot to get, hold on, let me get something to put these into when they're done. That was brilliant. Yeah, can you give me a bowl? Now, after you get done frying it, and the reason I fry it, you don't have to deep fry regular chicken, because when you cook it, it stays nice and firm. But when you when you use mock chicken or vegetarian chicken, whatever you want to call it, it gets slimy. And so that's why I deep fry it and make it crispy, is so that it's not slimy. We did some testing and the family helped me with this, and this has become a favorite of the family. So let's see what we can do here. Kind of just let it, you want it to brown and get crispy so that it doesn't soak up everything. Oh, I have a sidekick. I don't know if you guys can see, probably not. I have Birdie, my daughter's dog, and she's attached to me. You can kind of see she's following me around the kitchen, which I'm kind of used to. I usually have my dog in here, and so I'm stepping over two dogs when I'm cooking, so it's not anything I'm not used to. But she's enjoying all the fans I have going in here, so that's probably why she's in here. Because I have 3 or 4 fans on me. You want to kind of stir this every so often so that all the mushrooms will get. Also, if you put the lid on, it helps to can keep the temperature up inside there and helps them cook. Just don't forget you did that. You want to be able to see those. Let's see how we're doing. Nope, those are not ready. Okay, I'm gonna talk briefly about the why that's going. I want to talk briefly. For this recipe, for the pine nuts and stuff, I'm doing a double batch. It's 2 pounds of green beans, and I'm using 4 cloves of garlic, half a cup of pine nuts, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then salt and pepper to taste. That's all that goes into this recipe. It seems, and it's so fancy looking when it's done, guys. Just absolutely fancy looking. I highly recommend it. It's a huge family hit. Everybody loves it, because the green beans are just blanched enough to get them done enough that they're tasty and don't taste raw, but yet delicious. Okay, back over here. I'm kind of doing the trot. My daughter probably doesn't like that, but here we are. Okay. Let's talk about a couple other things while we have time. I like to use the whipped garlic herb cream cheese in this recipe that I'm making. It's hard to find, but if you can find it, it has a better flavor into the tetrazzini. But you can use like plain or garlic or green onion if that's all you can find. But the whipped is the best kind to use, not the solid. Okay, so we can turn this over. Also, I will be marinating the pineapple next week ahead of time. I'll probably put it on shorts so you guys can see how to do it. But it has to be marinated for several hours, so I need to do that ahead of time. And I'll be marinating the kebabs, but we will be grilling out on the grill, which I'm going to be doing no rain dance because it seems like every time I turn around, it rains. That's why it's so humid here. So hopefully we don't have any rain. Okay, that half of it's almost done. Now I want to talk about the mock chicken just briefly. You can look up the recipe. I use chickpeas in it. I use chickpea flour and vital gluten, and it also has seasonings in it, and then it's boiled in a broth with herbs and onions and garlic. So it's really easy. It takes me an hour, about an hour and 20 minutes to make, 20 minutes to get together, and then an hour cooking on simmer. So it's very easy. It's very cheap to make. It doesn't cost, it cost me about $12 to make 6 rolls, and those last several meals. And I used 1 roll tonight for this recipe. So it's an easy, it's high in protein, and it's good for you, and it's cheaper than buying it already made. Yeah, and the family loves it. Even my carnivorous husband, who thinks he should only eat meat. But he likes this meal. This was actually his idea to do this, to make this meal. And so that's how we got on this, is because of him. So you can see how I browned them up. I might get them browner. I may do them crispier in a deep fryer because they go so quickly. But that's fine. They won't be getting slimy. That's the main thing, is you don't want them to be slimy in your food. Nobody likes to eat slimy food, least of all me. So, and this, I mix it up in a food processor, and it's so easy, guys. And it has like soy sauce in it and some other things. So, and I really enjoy it. It's easy to make, like I said. Okay, let me get some water here. It also freezes nicely and keeps nicely in the freezer. You can defrost it easily in the microwave and it doesn't damage it. See our cucumbers are cucumbers. Oh, guys, I'm on another roll of wrong words. Our mushrooms are starting to lose their juice. Mushrooms have a tendency to release liquid, and so that it's important that they lose their liquid, and then you get rid of the liquid out of there. It has to cook down. You do not want to strain it out because that's part of the flavor of the tetrazzini. So our green bean water is coming to a boil. You can do that at any time during your during the time that you're cooking this meal. You can blanch your green beans and then just let them sit without the lid on them. So as soon as our water comes to a boil, I will do that, because that means one less thing putting out heat. So I don't know if you can see how much liquid we have in the bottom there, but this usually goes pretty fast after that's all gone. Next, again, next week, like I said, we're having a Polynesian night. Basically, it's grilled steak kebabs with vegetables and pineapple rice and grilled rum pineapple, which, guys, if you have not had it, it is delicious. It's made basically as rum and brown sugar that I marinated in, and cinnamon. I think it has cinnamon. I can't remember. And the pineapple rice is also delicious. So those are made with fresh pineapple. And then the grilled steak kebabs, I can't remember what vegetables are with them, but it's a delightful meal. So for those of you that like kebabs, I have so many different kebab sticks, I have to decide which one I'm going to use. I have circles. I have all kinds of them. I don't know what happened to me, but I seem to think that I needed to buy some every time I saw them. And then now I realize, now that I've consolidated all my stuff in one place, holy crap, I got a lot. Okay, let's turn, but I don't want to get rid of them because sometimes you break things. You know, remember last week I told you guys about my shelf falling. This weekend, I will be taking all the dishes out of my cupboard. We got the brackets, and I have to put so that my husband can put the new brackets in so I don't have any more catastrophes, which is not going to be fun to remove all that glassware. Okay, our water's boiling. I did salt the water, so the green beans will get some salt on them. I buy my green beans like this. I don't know if you can see, like this in a bag. It's just easier. I am not a fan of snapping beans. Okay, do we still have Alexa? Yeah. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
Okay, got those going. So yeah, I'm kind of now. If I have them in the garden, I will snap them, but I'm not going to buy them from the store and snap them. Let's see. I'm going to cook that just a little bit longer. So you can see it kind of gets a little golden. You can also eat it just like this. You don't have to put it on anything. It works out nicely. And then you can dip it in barbecue sauce or tartar sauce, or you can eat it plain. Pretty much do whatever you want. So let's turn off our, actually, just a minute, guys. I'm going to get a hot pad and remove this oil from the stove so I don't have to worry about it. So it can go to a place and cool down. Okay. And maybe we move our green beans forward. Okay, I see our mushrooms are doing nicely, but you can see we have all that juice that needs to keep cooking down. It'll get a little bit thick because of the olive oil and the butter in it, which will be nice, and it gives it a nice rich flavor to the sauce. The sauce is made up of cream cheese, heavy cream, white wine, and Parmesan. So it's kind of like an Alfredo sauce, but not exactly. Let me get this stuff out of our way that we don't need anymore. This also keeps nicely in the refrigerator and heats up nicely in the microwave. I don't know, we haven't had enough leftovers to see what happens if you have leftovers. Put it in the freezer. We haven't ever had that much. So okay, looks like we're getting close there. A little more juice to get down. You can see how it's quickly dissipating. Once the juice dissipates, we are going to turn the heat down. We don't want it as high. We're going to turn it down to medium-low. Especially since our Dutch oven has heated up. Cast iron. My Dutch oven is a cast iron with porcelain coating, and so they hold their heat really well, and that's one of the reasons I like cooking in it. So when this gets to the point where there's nothing left, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a half teaspoon of pepper and cook for 1 minute. So this is about where I'm going to do it. I feel like that's the level I want. I feel like it's enough gone. So I'm going to add that. Mix it in. Let it cook. You get the smell, lovely smell of the oregano and the mushrooms together, which is heavenly. You can use fresh oregano if you have it. Just remember that 1 teaspoon of dry oregano is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of fresh. We're going to turn this down to medium-low. We don't want it to be too hot because we're going to be adding a few things and we do not want them to burn. I don't know if our linguini is going to be ready when it's supposed to. Okay, now we're going to add the white wine. We're going to let it cook for a couple, 3 minutes because we want it to cook the alcohol flavor out and deglaze. Deglazing is when, hold on a second, guys. I got to drain the green beans. I'll be right back to you with that answer after I move our pasta container up here so we can get the pasta done. Okay, back over here. Deglazing is when you pour wine in or a liquid of any kind and you deglaze you can get, like in your skillet or whatever, it takes all the crusty parts off the bottom of your skillet. That's what deglazing is. That way you don't lose all the nummy parts. You still can keep them. Okay, we still have another minute. We want to cook this. Good. Our pasta is about to. We're gonna use linguini. I like the fine linguini, but I couldn't find it, so we're using the regular. It's gonna take 10 minutes to cook. We're a little behind on that. Huh? So it's about ready. It's coming to a boil now. So we're gonna add it in. I have a pasta skillet, kettle, which makes it really easy. Take your pasta spoon and stir your pasta in. Let it kind of go in there. Make sure you stir it a couple times. Lexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. Yes. 10 minutes. Alexa hates me. Okay. I'm going to check it in a few minutes. Okay, our wine has been going long enough. I can smell it. You can kind of see my kettle. When I move stuff here, you can see there's nothing stuck to the bottom of my kettle. So it's done its job. At this point, we're going to add in our whipped cream. Our whipped cream cheese. Boy, guys, I don't know where my brain is. Someone was telling me a funny story today about someone that made something that they thought they were using cornstarch and they actually used powdered sugar. I said, well, at least I just called it powdered sugar and didn't use powdered sugar. So we want to get this in here and turn it down on low because I want it to not curdle. So it needs to be on a low temperature. Then we're going to use a third of a cup of heavy cream. You could, if you are on a diet, you can take out the heavy cream and use like some kind of milk. It's not going to be as rich or as creamy, but you could still do it and it'll be fine. We're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of Parmesan. I'm going to let this cook a minute. Also, just so you guys know, don't leave, you notice I always take my spoon out. Do not leave your bamboo spoon in your food. It will make your food taste like bamboo. So don't do that. You want to make sure you always, and as you see, the pasta, you need to stir it like once, maybe twice while it's cooking to make sure it doesn't stick together. Even though I put salt and olive oil in here. Okay. So we're going to let this just like sit here in kind of little heat on low until our pasta is done. And we're going to come over here and work on our green beans while that's going on. So I'm using an electric skillet because it's easier and I have every burner in the stove was going. So I'm going to put my olive oil in here. I'm going to add my garlic. Once again, I'm going to press it. And I had a really big piece of garlic, so I'm going to just put this garlic back into the press. Okay, maybe not. It sounded good, guys. Sounded good. And we're going to put a couple more cloves in here. I have smaller cloves. That one was giant. I probably should have cut it in half. So we got all of our garlic in there. And we're going to pour in a half a cup of pine nuts. Then we're going to stir it around. And you want to brown the pine nuts. So that's how long you're going to cook it for. However long it takes you to brown the pine nuts. Whoop. Sorry, guys. So you need to, you don't want to worry them. You want them to cook. You want to leave your hands off of them. You don't want to be like me. No. Just let them sit. It works better. Let me check my pasta real quick. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, get some more water here. Takes a few minutes. I would say 4 or 5 minutes for this to saute, in my experience. Maybe a little longer, actually. But it's well worth it. The sauteing of the pine nuts will make them come out more nutty, and they have a earthy, nutty flavor that is just delightful with the green beans. And it makes it fancy. It makes green beans fancy, you know. You want to be fancy when you cook for your family. And it's good for them. It's another form of protein in your meal. And since it only uses olive oil is better for you. You could also use avocado oil, or it doesn't use any butter, so you're skipping the butter part, so that's good. It's not as bad for you on the fat. And so I love it. It's a great recipe for a nice dinner. Okay, let me go stir this stuff real quick, guys. You not want to add your chicken back in until you add your pasta on that. So that's why I haven't added it back in. We do have coming up the week after this, next one. So you guys can know we're doing lobster quesadilla, which we will be cooking live lobsters. Yes, guys, you heard me. Live lobsters earlier in the day and processing them, because that takes a little while, and so you will be able to see that on the short. See how those are starting to brown? Oh, and they smell. Oh, I can smell them. Toasted pine nuts smell so delicious, guys. They're not just for pesto, although they're delicious in pesto, but they're not just for pesto. You can use them for other things. And I tell you, I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they have pinyon trees there, and you can actually see where the pine nuts come from. And it just amazes me that I know now why they're so expensive. You have to pick them out of those pine cones. And there's all that sap and yucky. Oh, not for me. Okay, so you can see how nice and golden they are. We're going to add our green beans in. Get another spoon and toss them. So you're just going to basically coat them with the garlic and the pine nuts. And you're going to let them warm back up. And so those are done. And we're just going to turn it down to low and put a lid on it so until we're ready to eat it. And that's all you have to do with your green beans. Guys, your kids will love them. Let's see. Alexa, how much time left on our timer? She hates me.
Alexa, how much time on my timer? You have 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add the chicken into here. Oh, wait. My producer has to get things set up, guys. Look how nummy that sauce looks. If you want it a little thinner, you can add more white wine, but you don't want it too thin. You want it to be able to stick to your pasta. So we got our meat in there. I call it mock chicken, vegetarian chicken. The chicken is vegan, but the recipe is not. Okay, so that's ready for us to put our pasta in with it as soon as it's finished. This is also a nice meal. It can sit for a couple of minutes before you serve it, and you don't have to worry about it spoiling and not being good when you go to serve it. So don't have a heart attack if you get it done and your family's takes forever to come to the table. I don't have any family members like that or anything. Yeah, it's about done. Okay. Should go off here in a minute, and we'll be able to drain it and toss it together and make our plate, and then we can have supper. And I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. It's an easy one. It's easy to put together. The most of the time is just in the cooking of the mushrooms and the pasta. Make sure you get your pasta water going so you can start your noodles ahead of time. But if you do your noodles ahead of time and don't put them straight into your tetrazzini, you do need to oil them, which adds more oil to it. Doing it this way, you don't have to. There's our timer. Okay, let me get this drained. I tried not to put the lid on too tight. I learned my lesson. Okay. Let's pour it in. Use your pasta spoon and your bamboo spoon to mix. It makes it easier. Actually, I just use it to kind of put the pasta against. And there you go, guys. It is done. That is what it looks like. Let's go ahead and plate. Let me get a hot pad over here, and we'll put it over here and we'll plate. Huh? Okay, got a plate here. Where's my tongs? Oh, there they are. Okay, we're gonna get us some pasta. Usually I take some pasta out. Put it on your plate. Grab some pieces of meat out and mushrooms to add to it because they have a tendency to go to the sides. And I don't know why. That's just the way it is, guys. Okay. And then we're going to get ourselves some green beans. And grab yourself some pine nuts that have fallen to the bottom while I was goofing off doing other things. And there you go. There is your meal. Enjoy. It's a wonderful balanced meal of protein and vegetables and pasta and carbs. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week for Polynesian night.